It appears that most of our leaders have accepted the Dulles Rail project alignment as it is currently, which is to say elevated rather than underground through Tyson's. Are you a part of that camp? And if not, what are you doing now to achieve underground rail through Tyson's?
I'm trying to remember.
I did last time.
Okay. I'm happy to answer that. A transportation project of the magnitude of Dulles Rail takes decades of planning to make eventually to happen. And back many years ago, previous chairman of the Board of Supervisors, back actually to Kate Hanley, were working to work through the environmental impact statements and studies. We're working to find a funding mechanism for both the state as well as local, and then identify the federal funding. During those years, alternatives were identified. They were studied. Should it be bus or bus rapid transit? Should it be over? Should it be under? And eventually, the cost-effective project was identified as the above-ground project. It would be great for it to be underground, and I've taken a position in the past to ask for us to try to find, the additional time without losing the federal funding for that option, but that's not something that the federal government has agreed to.
My personal opinion on the rail is I think it's going to cause a lot of problems. I think it's a lot of money, and I think everybody should have a chance, possibly through a referendum in the county, since they're the ones that are going to have to pay for it, to decide whether it should go or not. I always wonder, whatever happened to the bike trail? I mean, it could always be used as rail. It's already set up. It wouldn't cost very much, and it runs through the towns. And the committee, as Sharon said, did approve a bus, or did consider a bus option. So if it's such a good idea, we should implement the bus option. If it doesn't work, then you drop it, and if it works, you can always move on to rail.
Well, let me tell you what I actually did about it. I mean, as a private citizen back in 2002, I did file suit against the Dulles Rail project because it has never been competitively bid, and I thought that was wrong. So I went and was the lead plaintiff on a suit to force the project to be competitively bid. I think if we competitively bid it in 2002, I think you would have found we could have gotten the money to do the underground solution and still met the federal cost efficiency standards. But it has never been competitively bid to this day. My opponent on at least 2 occasions has voted against the tunnel option. I think if you're going to get rail through Tyson, it should be in a tunnel. The question is now, what can you do about it? I've talked with Chad Peterson. I know he thinks we can do something about it. I haven't been in a position to talk to anybody about it. I don't know whether you can actually do a tunnel without destroying the project. That's something that needs to be investigated, but I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer to that specifically. But I did go after competitive. This is the largest public infrastructure project in the state of Virginia, and it's never been competitively bid. You look at the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. We broke the Woodrow Wilson Bridge into pieces, and we were able to get the project done for a lot cheaper. We needed to do the same thing with this project.
So, we were just asking, since this is such an important issue to everyone, everybody probably has a lot of questions. If we want to go through one more time, address anything, anyone else said, try and keep it to about 2 minutes.
If I could have a rebuttal. First of all, I've never voted against undergrounding the rail project. If we could do that, I would support it. I would not approve of having the entire project evaporate and cost us an entire generation before we can come back with something different. With a public-private transportation project like this one is, there is a requirement for there to be a competitive process. And so it's not that there was no competitive process, it's required. Just like a EA, education, public-private education project, once a private firm or company has asked to do a project or asked to bid on it or has asked to, or come to us with a proposal, there is a requirement for us then to invite others to come forward with a proposal as well. And that did happen with the Dulles Rail project.
That did not.
It did, and the project then changed as a result.
Exactly, when the bidders went together as cohorts. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
If I can,
Sure, Mr. DeBarlo, you want to
oh, I'm sorry, you want to jump in
go ahead.
first?
No, you guys.
And you're exactly right. What was approved to go into the PPA, what got competed, and what won, actually, there were two proposals in the beginning, a BRT transitioning to rail and a rail-only project. The rail-only project lost, the BRT transitioning to rail went into the public-private partnership. That is a completely different project than a rail-only project. The moment it changed from a BRT transitioning to a rail-only project, it needed to be recompeted because it's a material change in scope. That was the basis of the lawsuit, and it stayed back in there. They came together. The cost of the project went through the roof, and you lost your opportunity for the tunnel. And I've got the votes either here or out in my car for the two. Now, it was in Sharon's defense on the two tunnel votes, it was the tunnel so the project wouldn't die. But, you got to stand up for what you believe in. And, if you believe in the tunnel, you got to stand up and call a halt to the process and go for the tunnel. That didn't happen. And you got what you got, which is a big project that I think you're all going to be paying for because it was never competitively bid. And we will competitively bid, if I'm chairman, the extension out Dulles Corridor if I have anything to do with it.
I'll pass.
Do you have any other questions? Somebody